Hi and welcome back to Broadsheet Melbourne Around Town. I'm Katya, Broadsheet's editorial director and the host of this guide to Melbourne. If this is your first time here, don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you never miss a video. One of our favourite restaurants of the year was supposed to be here for a good time, but not a long time. But it turns out that hit Greek pop-up, Kafeneion, is actually going to be sticking around for longer. Broadsheet's national editor, Michael Harry, has news about this. Welcome, Michael.
Breaking news, thank you.
Breaking restaurant news.
This is breaking news for us because I know we both love this restaurant and it was only supposed to be open for winter, a couple of months.
I was concerned. I remember at the time thinking I'm going to have to book in multiple times after I'd eaten there the first time to try and get in as much as possible before it closed.
So it's Kafeneion and it's like based on those little tavernas of Greece in Athens specifically. So it's very casual, super kind of relaxed menu, multiple sizes of dishes, carafes of wine. But I think the fact that it's so chilled out makes it sort of revolutionary at the moment. It's just sort of stripped back awesome hospitality.
But such tasty food.
Great food.
Like every time something hits the table, it gets, everyone kind of just has a bite and it's like, it's one of those situations where unfussy food, but totally delicious. And you think to yourself, I remember at the end thinking, we've got a little bit of the lamb left over just because we were so full. And I was like, I want to take that home. Like, can I take that home? Because it feels like the kind of thing that you would get at, a home cooked meal, but like, of course, elevated.
Box it up. Yeah.
Who's behind it for those who maybe aren't familiar or haven't got to the cafe yet?
So it's Stavros and Alex Konis, husband and wife. So they run a place in Richmond called Salona. Salona was expanding, doing some renovations. So they called their friend Con Christopoulos.
One of Melbourne's, most important, I guess, like veterans of the dining landscape here. Who
has a bunch of places on that corner of Spring Street and Burke Street, like Supper Club, City Wine Shop. We know him, we love him.
Yep.
So he had this cafe space, self-preservation, which was kind of just sitting there, very cool, but unassuming cafe spot. So he
quite narrow, like a nice little, like one of those long, narrow city.
Yeah, it was
great shops.
Great for a coffee meeting and just kind of a hangout spot, but it was sitting empty post-pandemic. So Stavros and Alex bought their staff and moved in and took over. But it's a kind of joint venture. Initially, it was going to be a Salona pop-up, but then they decided to try this new/old concept of an Athenian tavern.
Because hadn't Con always said he would never open a Greek restaurant?
That wasn't his thing. Well, yeah, because he's from this Greek family. He doesn't want to cook Greek, but they convinced him now was the time. And yeah, it's just kind of been an instant hit. It opened in May. It's packed out. Kind of it's giving people what they want.
Were they surprised by the reaction they got? And is that one of the reasons they've decided to keep it going?
Totally. So they're like, we can't stop this now. Like, we're full every night. Like it was only supposed to be open for a couple of months, but let's keep it going till the end of the year. So they're going to stay in that spot running till at least Christmas.
Yep.
And meanwhile, they've got their eye out looking for another venue and they found somewhere. They're like, we can't tell you it's 99% signed on, whatever, but it's going to be in the city and it's going to be the same concept as Kafeneion, that Athens kind of good times venue, but we don't know where it is. It's probably going to be very much around there in that sort of zone.
Now, has Con got any plans for the space once Kafeneion moves out?
Yeah, so Con's going to turn his hand to another kind of thing that he hasn't done before, which is a Japanese restaurant. Details are scant, unfortunately, but it's going to be like a sushi bar. It's going to be completely overhauled from what it is now because the space looks as it did pretty much when it was self-preservation.
Yeah.
Like they really haven't done anything to it.
It works so well for the current iteration. I mean, I'm sure they'll find a way to make it work for Japanese too, but it actually feels like it was born and designed to house a casual Greek restaurant.
Yeah, exactly.
But with a bit of like sultry sexiness to it as well. Like it's not, you don't walk in and see whitewashed walls and blue paint.
Yeah, it's not quite like a Greek waiters club. Like it's sort of a bit high elevated than that.
Yeah. But
it's kind of in that great zone as well, like near Paperback Books and Hill of Content and Grossi.
That little Burke Street section.
Pellegrini's and, that's Melbourne, isn't it?
Now tell us, something's been going on as well up there. Like it's a bit of an informal kind of great club that's been happening.
A little FYI is there's like a private room upstairs, but you kind of go up these rickety stairs and into the kitchen where they've got all the photos of the dishes like printed out and pinned on the wall of the kitchen. Go through the kitchen, and then there is this little room, which you can hire for, up to 12 people. But you're often going to find old Greek men playing, backgammon? And drinking ouzo, and kind of like very much in the spirit of these kind of old Kafeneions.
Yeah. If you want to go to Kafeneion, then you can continue to book until the end of the year. And I guess we'll wait to see what is happening next year.
Yes. And Alex insists that Broadsheet will be the first to know where this new Kafeneion is. So
right. We will be holding them to that. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Michael.
Thank you.
A new bar in South Melbourne is a celebration of history's daggiest decade in all its kitschy glory. The person who wrote this story, Ruby Harris, didn't write that, and that certainly didn't come from the owner. That was our editor, Cal, we think. You could argue the 70s is history's daggiest decade or not. We can discuss that with Cal when we get back to the office. But at Bar Hiccup, there are vinyl chairs, nostalgic snacks, and playful cocktails in a cosy space above one of Melbourne's best burger shops. Broadsheet editor Ruby Harris is here to share the details. Welcome, Ruby.
Thank you.
You're here not to talk about a deli this week, a bar.
No, I know, it's branching out for me.
Out of your comfort zone. So I love the way you've begun this story, which is you'll know that it's Bar Hiccup is open if the welcome mat's outside the door. And if it's not, then off you go. Keep going. It's not open. But it's one of those places you would miss, correct, if you didn't know it was there.
Absolutely. It's a door with a tiny little Bar Hiccup sign. You could easily walk past it 100 times and not know it's there. And I think, a lot of places try to do this speakeasy vibe, but I feel like it's an authentic speakeasy with a license. You really don't know it's there. They put a welcome mat out on Friday and Saturday nights, and otherwise, there's no way of knowing if they're there or not.
Yeah, just might see a nice little glow in the second story of this building. You've described it as a space that feels like it's been fossilized in amber since 1977. Why is that? How does it get that feel?
I think, so everything is sourced from estate sales, marketplace, people's homes. One of the owners, Laura, she basically tried to recreate her grandfather's living room. And I think that, it gives me the vibe that I'm in someone's grandparents' house. So it's super authentic. They didn't create anything from scratch. It's all come from that era or around that time. And it's a real, she bought the flooring from Marketplace and she buffed it and installed it herself. Like they did everything from scratch by themselves.
Haven't people come into the bar and say like, oh my God, that chair, oh my God, that TV. Like, didn't someone call their parent to tell them about a model of something that they hadn't seen since they were younger?
Yeah, she said I think it was the opening night, this guy came in and immediately started FaceTiming who she thinks was his mum. And it was like, do you recognize this TV? Like, we had that TV. Do you recognize this chair? Like, I think there's so much nostalgia in the space for anyone who was, around in that time. Not me, but other people.
There's a lot of nostalgia going on in our restaurants and bars at the moment, from the decor to also the snacks. And people are making an effort to not just do an imitation of the 70s or the 80s or whatever it might be. People like Laura, who own Bar Hiccup, are really making an effort to source the things that came from that time.
So the co-owner, Lyndall, was like, we have to have a tinned section on the menu. And Laura said that she was like, I don't know if that's going to go over so well. I'm not sure. And it's been a hit. Like, people love it. People are getting, little tins of sardines and having it with their cocktails on a Friday night.
Let's talk about the menu, actually. So one of the snacks you mentioned on there is dolmades, a great afternoon snack that might be eaten by yayas around Melbourne.
Absolutely.
But yeah, tell us about some of the other things you might get on the menu.
It's a cocktail bar. That's the focus. The food is all sort of meze style, small snacks, little bites that you can get along with your drinks. And it's all very inspired by that time, but with their own twist on it. So they wanted to do a deviled egg situation, but Laura was saying she doesn't like eggs.
Oh, no.
So it's a dessert that looks like a deviled egg, but it's not deviled eggs.
So who's the chef in this equation?
So Laura and Lyndall actually own Pickle and Patty, which is underneath. They're not connected at all. You can't access either one from the inside, but they own both.
Pickle and Patty is the burger store.
Yes, underneath
Bar Hiccup.
They've designed the menu. They're cooking in the kitchen. She said it's quite funny. She'll be like downstairs slinging burgers, and then 10 minutes later she's upstairs at Bar Hiccup, and people obviously go upstairs after they've had a burger and they're like, weren't you just downstairs?
The cocktails are obviously one of the main reasons you'll head there, and they definitely have a 70s feel. Let's talk about some of those, and we can start with Pickles.
Pickles. So Pickles is Laura's cat. And also, if you look at the imagery for the bar, it's a cat that is modelled after Pickles. A lot of the cocktails actually are named after staff members' cats. So that's sort of the real vibe going through the menu.
So it's a 70s style cat lady bar.
Their bar manager, Rich, has sort of been given free rein to get creative. So there's there's the classics, there's some really random mixes of things that you maybe wouldn't expect, but that sound really exciting. And then there's cocktails named after things to do with the 70s. So there's the Violet Beauregard from Willy Wonka. Okay. There's a Kermit pop. There's a Kermit cocktail. They've really leaned right into that era.
So you've got your cocktails. I'm assuming there's also wine and beer. They've got their snack menu, but can you grab a burger from downstairs and head upstairs to have that with your cocktail, or is that a bit?
Yeah, it's totally separate. So you can't get anything from downstairs brought up, which they've done on purpose. They want it to be a cocktail bar and they want the focus to be the drinks.
Okay, so you're going down for your burger and then back up again if you want another drink.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Right now it's just open on Friday and Saturday nights. Do they have any plans to expand that in the future?
Yeah, so they're planning to hopefully extend those hours. They said, it's super early days. They've only been open for a few weeks. They've also started doing like quiz nights and trivia nights, and they said they're going to start renting it out for private functions as well, which you can imagine a party in that kind of space would be incredible.
There would be very little to do to basically get people excited. If you are looking for a spot with lace curtains and a grandfather clock, this is the place to go. Why is it called Bar Hiccup, by the way?
Sorry, a little bit of an error on my behalf before. Hiccup is the name of the cat that belongs to Laura.
Okay.
Pickles is another staff member's cat.
There are a lot of cats happening around there.
It's hard to keep track of everyone's names.
So it really is a tribute to the cats of Melbourne.
The cats and the 70s.
Bar Hiccup is at level 1, 181 Clarendon Street in South Melbourne. The hours are Friday and Saturday, 5 p.m. till midnight. And if you are looking for a super fun event, you should probably call Laura to book in. Thanks, Ruby.
Thank you.
That's all we've got time for today. As always, you can stay up to date at any time on broadsheet.com.au or on Instagram at broadsheet_Melb. See you again next week.